In the shadows of the dying Soviet Union, one name would come to strike fear into millions. A name unknown at first, invisible among the crowds, until the horror was finally uncovered. This is the story of Andrei Romanovich Chikatilo, better known as the Butcher of Rostov, a seemingly ordinary teacher whose life masked a darkness that would haunt a nation. Born on October 16, 1936, in what is now Ukraine, Chikatilo's childhood unfolded against the backdrop of famine and war. He grew up in a world where survival often eclipsed innocence, and later, he appeared to settle into the quiet respectability of a teacher. But behind that facade, something malignant waited. His first confirmed murder came in 1978. Over the next 12 years, he moved through train stations and rural forests, approaching victims with disarming kindness, then luring, torturing, and killing women and children across the Soviet Union. Dozens vanished, and the bodies that were found were mutilated beyond recognition. Investigators eventually confirmed at least 52 murders, many of them children, and authorities believed he likely committed more than he was charged with. For years, Chikatilo evaded capture in a system that refused to acknowledge the pattern unfolding beneath its own institutions. Soviet authorities had no serial killer profile and no mechanism for tracking a predator crossing regions. Secrecy and bureaucratic denial created shadows where he could hide. It would take patient, systematic police work to close in on him. And finally, in 1990, a sharp-eyed officer at a train station noticed something strange. Chikatilo was brought in for questioning. Even then, he tried to mask his guilt, as if the quiet teacher persona could shield the monster within. But forensic evidence and witness testimony began to link him to dozens of attacks. Piece by piece, the horror took shape. His trial opened on April 14, 1992, in Rostov, a watershed moment when the media in post-Soviet Russia could openly report on a case this grotesque. The courtroom was packed, families of victims filled with grief and fury, and the world stared at the iron cage constructed to hold him. A sight that shocked international press and symbolized a justice system grappling with evil in plain view. Witnesses described how he deceived his victims with small kindnesses before unleashing horrific violence. Indictments were read one by one, a relentless procession of pain that caused relatives to weep or faint as the scope of the atrocities was laid bare. Throughout much of the trial, Chikatilo's behavior seemed bizarre, rolling his eyes, cursing, contorting himself in ways that fed rumors of madness. But psychiatric testimony countered that narrative, concluding that much of his display appeared calculated, not psychotic. In October of 1992, he was convicted of 52 murders and sentenced to death. The verdict fell on the courtroom with stunned silence, and then a wave of emotion as the judge's words echoed through Rostov. Before we go deeper, I want to hear from you. Do you think the lack of a serial killer profile and the culture of secrecy helped him evade capture for so long? Or was it something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about how systems succeed or fail when facing a predator who hides in plain sight. After the trial, the conclusion came swiftly. On February 14, 1994, Andrei Chikatilo was executed by a single bullet in keeping with Russian law. His life ended, but the terror he wrought continues to live as one of the darkest chapters in criminal history. The case remains a grim reminder of how evil can pass among us, unnoticed, unremarkable, and unfathomable, until it is finally revealed. If you appreciate deep dives into true crime and the hidden histories that shaped them, make sure you subscribe for more investigations from The Unseen Voice. We explore the places where fear and secrecy intersect, and how ordinary lives can be shattered by those who weaponize trust. The Butcher of Rostov's legacy is not just the number of victims, but the hard lessons learned about denial, bureaucracy, and the necessity of seeing the pattern before the darkness spreads. The image of Chikatilo in that iron cage, watched by families, press, and a country confronting its own shadows, endures as a symbol of justice catching up with a nightmare. Evil hides in plain sight, in the kindest faces, the most unassuming lives, until the darkness finally reveals itself.